Albert Einstein is rocking fluffy slippers circa 1950. This is a picture of Navajo youth Tom Torlino as he entered the Carlisle Indian Industrial School in 1882, and again 3 years later. Einstein became a United States citizen in New York on October 1, 1940. Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney, the good old days. There's a girl, a dog, and a mule. This is from the 1921 silent film Through the Back Door, starring Mary Pickford. Another saucy Edwardian-era woman posing on a French postcard, circa early 1910s. William Dwyer is seen riding an ostrich in California, capturing a quirky moment from the early 20th century. California, 1917. A young boy runs after his father, who's a soldier, as he marches off to war. This happened in New Westminster, Canada on October 1st, 1940. An amphibious vehicle is riding along the river in the 1930s. Airlines Knot Hole Club, New York, 1940. The narration is about a swagman using a hollowed gum tree as a campsite in 1880. A swagman was a transient labourer who travelled by foot from farm to farm. They carried their belongings in a swag, which was a bedroll. The term originated in Australia. A person in sheepskin takes part in a rural Spanish ritual. The photograph is part of Cristina Garcia Rodero's Espana Oculta series from 1975 to 1988, which documents the fading customs of Spain's isolated communities. The View phone, developed by Toshiba in 1964, was an early video phone. It allowed for real-time communication, which was a precursor to modern video calling, like FaceTime, and that was in 1964. We're watching the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. So there's an old-school band. They are made up of 5 guys. In this band, we have a bass player, a drummer, a singer, and 2 guitarists. American troops used a newly developed acoustic locator, 1914 to 1918. "16-year-old Walt Disney, around 1917. The soldier's standing beside his M60 machine gun. It's mounted on the steps of the US Capitol to stop rioters from getting in. This was during the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination riots in Washington, D.C. in April 1968. A mother and her children made a practice run for their $5,000 steel backyard fallout shelter in Sacramento, California in 1961. Here's what I see. There's a radiology nurse wearing protective gear. It's 1918. The actress Belle Bilton is in the role of Beauty from Beauty and the Beast in 1889. Alexandre Gustave Eiffel, on the left, explores the completed tower with a friend in 1889. A machine for selling already lit cigarettes, 1931. Young Lee Harvey Oswald as a Marine, 1956. Around 2 million people from Latvia, Estonia and Lithuania formed a human chain. This chain united all three countries to show the world their desire to escape the Soviet Union on August 23, 1989. Nikola Tesla's foot X-ray was taken by himself on a machine he designed back in 1896. Fish oil, a well-known remedy, is now the focus of health initiatives, even though it has that infamous taste. 1935. London Stock Exchange, 1910. (1949) Children on the streets of Glasgow. Kids taking fish oil, 1960. Mignon is a penguin girl. Mignon's real name was Ruth Davis. She was born in 1910. Her nickname translates from French as sweet. Jimmy Carter with his sons on his peanut farm, 1960. Friedrich Nietzsche in a mental hospital shortly before his death, 1899. A boy with congenital syphilis around 1880. Osama bin Laden. He was a Saudi Arabian and he was the founder of the militant Islamist organization Al-Qaeda. He was born in 1957. He was responsible for the September 11th attacks on the United States, and he was killed by US forces in 2011. Slides with crocodiles were one of the most popular attractions of the park in California during the 1920s. A gentleman, wearing regular clothes, is enjoying the view from the top of Umbrella Rock on Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Underneath him is a rough hut made from wooden boards and a canvas roof, dating from around the 1860s. Folks are greeting American planes that brought food to West Berlin. The city was surrounded by Soviet troops. This was Germany in 1948. The Bullet bra is a full-support bra. It has cups shaped like a paraboloid, with its axis at a right angle to the breast. This was in 1952. Alison Skipworth as the Duchess is kidnapping Alice in Paramount's Alice in Wonderland, 1933. There are 2 Apache infants in cradle boards from 1888. The world's last commercial ocean-going sailing ship, the Pamir, rounding Cape Horn, 1949. Eleanor Roosevelt and Shirley Temple, 1938. This Italian woman, she's curiously checking out a Scottish soldier's kilt. This is in the Colosseum, Rome, in 1944. This is a portrait of an Iranian woman. It's from the 1960s, before the Islamic Revolution. Women at the beach toss their colleague in the air with a blanket in 1932. Alright, let's see. It's a 1970s business class piano bar on an airplane. In late July 1964, police beat a man during the Harlem riots, which had been sparked by the questionable shooting of a 15-year-old black American boy by a police officer. This photo shows 4 generations. It was taken around 1905. During the years Taisho 10 and Taisho 11, which were 1921 and 1922, Tomijiku was one of the great beauties of Kyoto. Tomijiku from the 1910s in Japan. Researchers found a whole bunch of stuff in King Tut's tomb after discovering it in 1922. They found a gold mask, a solid gold coffin, a statue of the king, chariots, and several other statues. There was also jewellery, as well as food and wine, and finally they discovered linen clothing and weapons. A knife and scissor grinder is selling his services on the streets of London, displaying a common sight from that time. This is London around 1926. A London bus stopped to let another London bus pass. It was the 1960s. There are Navy pilots in the forward elevator while playing basketball. This happened in 1942. The Minsky Carnival showgirls compete in a 1949 spaghetti swooshing contest. Daytona Beach, 1903. Computing Division, United States of America, 1924. Cooking Class, 1935. The German Schiene Zeppelin hit a max speed of 120 miles per hour, or 230 kilometers per hour, in 1934. Bernie Sanders, who was 21 years old, protesting segregation and getting arrested in Chicago. This happened in August 1963. the Royal Air Force during the Second World War, May 13, 1944. Che Guevara in a kindergarten in Shanghai, 1960. Okay, so we're talking about sheep flying cargo at the Oslo airport. This happened during the 1960s. A samurai wearing full armour and carrying a sword circa 1860. A Tibetan greets a photographer in Lhasa, 1955. A young child is dying during a famine, 1946. Back then, peanut sellers would wear suits with a ton of peanuts sewn into them. An oil derrick cleverly disguised as a Christmas tree in Huntington Beach, 1939. A technical security officer from the US Diplomatic Security Service crawls out of a tunnel after the discovery of a hidden Soviet listening post inside the US Embassy in Moscow in 1978. Mexican homosexuals are being detained in a police station in Mexico City, 1935. Charles Darwin, 1869. A mother and daughter hamming it up for the camera around 1900. Carolyn Jones, Morticia Adams wishes you a ghoulishly good weekend. Two wax department store mannequins melted during a heatwave in London, 1929. Walt Disney filming on the beach in Rio de Janeiro in 1941. People often mistakenly identify this as a mental institution in Russia from the 1950s. Actually, it's German ballerinas stretching their calf muscles in 1977. There are special holes in the wall for them to step on. New Year's Eve, 1960. Time for Sleepy, 1940. The forecourts exploding during the Irish Civil War, 1922. Chichen Itza in 1892 before excavation. The store window is in New York, 1935. British soldiers, temporarily blinded by German gas, head towards a medical aid post in France, 1918. Elizabeth Taylor in the 1956 film Giant. The United States Navy LSM, or Landing Ship Medium, rocket, 188 class, is firing a bunch of rockets. They're firing them in salvos onto the shores of Tokishima. This was during a pre-landing bombardment. It was part of the Okinawa campaign Japan in 1945. A father helps his son feed a giraffe at London Zoo. Miss Amelia Earhart, the co-pilot of the transatlantic plane Friendship, is up on the roof of the Hyde Park Hotel in London, taking in the view on June 26, 1928. What a cigar! 1st of December, 1933. W. Cox is smoking an outsized cigar at the 43rd anniversary dinner of the Eccentrics Club. It was held in the Grosvenor House Hotel, London. British factory workers have left a message for their adversary on December the 22nd, 1941. Low tide in London, the 1930s. There are people in the ocean at Santa Monica Beach in 1926. Beach volleyball, Venice Beach, California, June 1934. Gertrude Ederle becomes the first woman to swim the English Channel in 1926. A bank robber is shooting at the surveillance camera. This happened in Cleveland, Ohio in 1977. J.R.R. Tolkien. Wojtek, the World War II soldier bear, is being fed by a soldier. The Esso Hibernia tanker was under construction in Wallsend, England in 1970. It wasn't until 1923 that women were allowed to cheer. Uniforms typically comprised sweaters and skirts past the knee. The fourth Summer Olympic Games were held in London in 1908. Dina Sanichar, who everyone thinks was raised by wolves. He was born in India and was found in the deep jungles of Uttar Pradesh by the hunters in 1872. So how did people do homework before Google? Well, it all started with the library. You'd head to the library to look through books, encyclopedias, and magazines to find information. It was a whole thing, with card catalogues and librarians who knew where everything was. If you needed to write a report, you'd have to take notes by hand and then write it all out. Sometimes you'd have to go to the library more than once to find what you needed, or to check out books. It took a lot more time and effort than it does now. Two pretty car hops from the 1950s. The collision of a B-25 bomber with the Empire State Building in 1945 had consequences. A woman wearing a toweling bikini poses in a funfair hall of mirrors around 1935. Sammy Davis Jr. visited Elvis Presley backstage at the Showroom International Hotel in Las Vegas in 1970. A Parisian can-can dancer, 1895. A German soldier returns from Soviet captivity. He went to war when his son was 1-year-old. This was in Germany in 1956. The Nanny, 1854. The pet fawn of Brad Curry from Galesburg, Michigan watches him leave his home every morning on his school bus, 1960. The very first broadcast of a human face transmitted on television happened in London in 1926. Crew members of the American submarine Tang during the rescue of a downed pilot near Truk Atoll in 1944. Two recently divorced women are enjoying their time on a divorce ranch in Nevada. Here are real-life Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh. The author of Winnie the Pooh, A. Milne, who was Christopher's father, was inspired by him to write the books. The Radar Range, the first commercial microwave oven, 1947. Mirindejo, also known as the human pincushion, was a Dutch performer who was famous for stabbing himself through his body with swords and knives in 1948. There are several teepees in view of a school for Indians dating back to 1891.